If you call yourself a leftist, a Marxist, whatever leftist ideology you're supposed to adhere to, and you cannot criticize or call out, whenever you see things that are being done that are wrong in countries that are supposed to ideologically align with you, they're a problem, right? Like, for example, what's currently going on in Burkina Faso with the criminalization of homophobia in that country, that's a
I
problem.
knew we were
And
in
I,
dire straits politically when people hopped on here and started acting like China doing neocolonialism was already fine. But honestly, if we're going to be proud of Burkina Faso, we also need to be critical of the fact that, he's exploiting people and turning people who are LGBT into jails because he outlawed that shit because he says it's a what is it, a violation of African culture, even though historically there have been numerous records of homosexuals and bisexuals and people who have had a different gender identity in Africa for eons. That is historically proven.
Hi, everybody. It is Princess Ariel. I just had seen these two videos pop up on my timeline. It seems to be this, shock and awe for the very young people, not understanding the history of colonialism and the colonization of the motherland, Africa. My name is Princess Ariel once again, and thank you all for coming in to listen. I just wanted to, you know, give my take on it. I was kind of disappointed to hear about Burkina Faso because I had watched so many documentaries on the country and all of the changes that were going on there, and several surrounding countries that were sort of rejecting colonialism and moving more towards, independence and a brighter, bigger future. Now we're seeing a rollout of legislation in those same countries that mirror uh, the colonized religious beliefs, which is, Islam and Christianity. And he's using that as a tool to weed out those that he consider less than, or the weaker, or the ones that they want to criminalize, which is your most marginalized in the population. Like, for instance, in the US, our transgender community is 1% of the population. But this current administration, the orange ones, have basically used legislation to weaken freedoms and taking away rights and downright criminalize the existence of those people. Now, if it's 1% of the population, how often do you think people, and we're only talking about people of color like me, black African people, we're all African, we're all descendants from over there, whether people want to accept it or not, that's where our ancestors were snatched from. So this is a black on black conversation. Everybody else take several seats because this is between all of us. We're a global community and we're the global majority. So it's disappointing to see that Burkina Faso and other countries have gone the route of criminalizing their relatives, their family members, their neighbors, because they fell in love with someone of the same gender. And these are people of color I'm talking about. So um, it's just sad to see because it doesn't seem like in the instance that you criminalize something that you don't like or you don't understand, and you use the laws of your enslavers to do it. You're using these colonialized European standards to gather your flock. Now, if you wanted to make some laws, why don't you make laws in the community to protect people who are marginalized? Your marginalized people will be your citizens who do their voting, the people who pick your groceries, the farm workers, the people who build your houses, the people who educate your kids. It's some same people. Because they're those people who are the one that you're saying they're homosexuals are your relatives. They're your neighbors. They're your friends. So make it make sense. If you yourself is looking at other African people and criminalizing them based on who they fall in love with, how can loving somebody be wrong? It's not hurting you. It's not harming you. So why make a law criminalizing someone in the smallest marginalized part of your population? You probably would never even see that person, but they're contributing to your culture, buying your food, helping you pick your gardens and your crops for your market, you know, doing construction, building roadways, I don't know, whatever you people do where you live, how you survive. Those people have to survive as well. And if you marginalize them, then you push them to the lowest part of society where they are on drugs, where they are the ones prostituting. They can't get a job because your laws hold them back from being a part of society. You're excommunicating your own people. So how is that progressive? How is that lifting up your countries? And I've seen a whole list of African nations that criminalize the LGBTQIA alphabet society, the homosexuals and all of that, and jail them, beat them, harm them for loving someone of the same gender. It's mind-boggling to me that that's high priority for a country that's trying to move away from colonialism. But you're rolling yourself backwards into the same thing because that is not an African thing. And you know that your religions didn't come, though Islam came from Middle East. Everybody knows that that's where that religion came from. That wasn't even an African religion. That came like millions of years ago. Like, I don't know the exact dates, but I'll roll it across the screen for you because I don't have all that in my head. I'm not a numbers person, but I did take a look at that data. And it's a simple Google search and a simple ChatGPT conversation, and it'll pull the information up and all of the places where the sources came from. It's that simple. But my point is that a lot of the younger people are surprised by all of this. But if you just look at the United States alone, under our new administration, they're stripping the rights away, and they're focusing on where African American people live. The larger cities like Washington, D.C., they're focusing on Chicago, they're focusing on Houston, they're going to focus on any city where there's huge amounts of African people and implement laws to strip away rights, strip away jobs, strip away any kind of freedoms that even the people have that have families and everything. Then they also are going to focus on the LGBT. Right now they're working it out on the trans people, but trust and believe, you know, your right to get married to who you want to, all that stuff is slowly getting stripped away under this administration. And it wasn't like they didn't know it was coming. Some of these people, which we're talking about black people that look like me, dark-skinned black folks, who went along with this administration and voted to bring these things about because they wanted to see it themselves because of their personal disdain for same-gender loving people they're not harmful people to anybody. There's no statistics that if you're same-gender loving that you're harm children. This is all made up stuff. If you don't have data and facts behind it, it's a lie. And why not make laws for people who actually harm young people? Make laws for criminals and stuff, people who do harm communities of color. That would seem more realistic to me than taking away the rights of somebody because they fell in love with someone else that happened to be the same sex. But we just keep rolling back on all of this colonialized shit. That's not even African. None of that stuff's African. And if you don't believe it, go just do your historical search on Africa. You know that those religions, that Islamic stuff came from the Middle East, which we still call it Africa. And then some of that other Christianity stuff came from Europe. That is not, none of that stuff was African. None of it. And then, you know, you had your Israelites and stuff that, you know, over in Palestine, but look what's happening over there. And they keep saying that they're the true Christians, and you're bombing the birthplace of Jesus. You know, I'll tell you the story that when I was growing up as a little kid, I believed that Jesus was white because I saw on my church, which was a very black church, on the back of the wall was this huge mural picture painting of Jesus. It was like, you know, a white man, like light hair, blonde hair, blue-eyed, all that. And I always thought that was what Jesus, like when I got to college, Then I heard people saying Jesus is black. I'm like, well, how is he black? And then they start, going through all the historical context of where in Africa it was and all of this and where, all of that. And I gagged because I was like, oh my God, this is, all by design because everything is colorized here in the U.S. and around the world. The caste system is still alive and working very well today. And I feel bad for young people who are just coming to know that, the things that they were taught are necessarily as they appear. And they're learning the hard way that they have to unlearn some things. And I feel the same way about this conversation. You can unlearn just the way you learned, your bigotry, because that's all it is hate and bigotry and nothing more, because there's no reason to criminalize somebody for falling in love with someone. That doesn't harm your community. That doesn't take away from your society. You can't catch it. Stop othering people. We are all human beings. And that is the problem from the beginning, because if you start from the beginning and know how we became scattered all over the planet, then you have a blueprint how to not to ever let it happen again. I think Burkina Faso is on the right pathway when it comes to liberating itself from France and other outside entities coming in for the resources. And I just suggest to all Africans, move with caution and stick together. No matter if your relatives and neighbors love the same gender person, that's not hurting you. But don't throw your people away and imprison them over, your colonialized thoughts and thinking. And, encourage your president to move in another direction when it comes to laws and legislation and stop criminalizing your own brown-skinned people. Because if we don't all, grow together as a culture, we'll never be able to pull ourselves out of that caste system. And if you don't believe it, you're more than welcome to come on my live. I'm live every night at 10 p.m. When I do the match game and I click that button to try to match with people, they see my skin color and my weight and size first, and they click the camera off. And you guess who's doing it? People who have the same skin color as me. And I see it over and over, especially in the U.S. It's always in the United States people. They do not want to see other dark-skinned, older brown-skinned people, period. They treat me like I'm the ugliest thing they've ever seen. And also, I had an ex-husband from Egypt. I was married to someone over there. So I've been to Africa several times. So I've seen with my own eyes, what a magnificent country that was taken, our ancestors were snatched from. That's the only thing I can think of, because when I see you, I see myself. I don't see Africans. I see myself as an African whose ancestors were stolen, snatched as young people, and forced over here in chattel slavery, and changed us to where we don't even know what part of Africa we came from, because they whipped their religious beliefs, their way of living, and everything for hundreds of years, to the point where we speak English, we have English names, we don't even know what part of Africa we came from. We know the West, but we don't know what tribe or anything like that. So when you're over there having those diaspora wars, everybody's bickering with each other about African booty scratcher and Americans, the lazy watermelon. Stop all that. Everything that's dark came from over there. When you're over here, young people saying they're foundational American, that they're not descendants of Africa, stop that. Stop, please. Please stop. You're making a fool out of yourself, and you're building upon a lie that's already being told to these other young people. And if any of you guys out there are clinical psychologists, I suggest you try to get your visas and green cards now. Use ChatGPT, because they're messing the minds of the kids up over here, telling them that they were native to this land, as if them people didn't steal us and bring us here and force us here to stay here with them and torture us the whole time. Our ancestors is what I mean. I don't want to sound too slated what I'm saying, but it's the truth. And when you're telling a lie, it just makes it worse. You see what I'm saying? And eventually when they get to high school or college like me, they're going to get the shock of their life, and they're going to need some psychiatrist to lay on the couch and talk to somebody about some stuff. So if you're in social work, psychology, farming, any of that stuff, we're going to need lots of people to come here and pick up the slack, because most of Africa is under 30, And this is an aging population over here. We don't have enough young people to do all the jobs that they're going to need. So while they're bickering and trying to figure out how they're going to take over the world and keep it white, girl, please. The majority of the planet is brown. Just stop already. Let them do whatever they're going to do, and we're going to do whatever we're going to do by communicating with each other. And we got to love each other, regardless of who we fall in love with and all that. Put your religion aside. Those are your relatives, your people. You don't want to throw anybody away, not at this point. Do you want to be in the hands of those people again and let them destroy and finish taking your resources? Because I guarantee you, Uganda going to get it. Now, they let it out that they got that gold mine over there. Them Europeans going to get that gold mine. And they over there with that, they with the same situation about the alphabet community, they criminalizing folks. Criminalize all of y'all, going to be scattering each other up. And while y'all scattering each other up, they're going to be snatching up your resources for free. Just how they got them kids over there in the West, in their mines, digging up them minerals with their hands, cobalt and shit, forcing them down to child labor and enslaving them down there. It's by design. They need the minerals. They can't make their phones, their computers, and all this shit that they want. All the minerals are in your country. So why are you guys fighting about somebody who loves somebody else when you got outsiders invading your land still to this day? Make it make sense. Somebody, anybody, please. Please. Thank you for listening. Like, share, and follow. I'm Princess Ariel, the TS Skydoll Ariel. Don't forget TS Transgender. And leave a comment. That's all. Bye. Love you, even if you don't love me. Bye.